Imagine carrying a heavy weight around with you every day, dragging it wherever you go, never able to set it down. That's what holding a grudge does to you. It's like an emotional anchor that keeps you tied to the past, refusing to let go of that pain, anger, or betrayal. But here's the thing, the more you hold on to that grudge, the more it hurts you, not the person you're upset with. In fact, science shows that holding on to resentment can affect your physical health, your mental well-being, and even your relationships. So why is it so hard to let go? Why does the pain of a grudge stick with us even when we know it's damaging? And most importantly, how can we free ourselves from its grip? In this video, we'll explore the science behind grudges, uncovering the deep-rooted psychological and biological reasons you're still holding on. We'll also share proven strategies to help you release that burden and reclaim your peace of mind. Trust me, by the end of this video, you'll see grudges in an entirely new light. The psychological roots of holding grudges. Grudges don't simply appear out of nowhere. They stem from our emotional responses to perceived injustice. When we experience pain, whether it's betrayal, an insult, or emotional harm, our brains are wired to process this as a threat to our well-being. Our primal instincts are to protect ourselves from further harm, and holding a grudge feels like a way to secure our emotional safety. We might think that keeping the anger alive will eventually bring justice or closure, but in truth, it often just prolongs the suffering. The psychological reason behind why we hold on to grudges is often rooted in our desire for control. When we feel wronged, we can feel powerless, unable to change what happened. A grudge, in this case, gives us a sense of agency. It's a way of keeping the emotional injury alive in our minds, as if the person who hurt us owes us something. This need for closure often blinds us to the fact that continuing to hold on to the past only limits our emotional freedom. Another reason we hold grudges is due to the way our brains interpret betrayal. When someone close to us betrays our trust, it not only wounds us emotionally, but also challenges our understanding of relationships and fairness. We are social beings, and our sense of trust is essential to maintaining healthy relationships. A grudge becomes a mental defense mechanism, keeping us on high alert to prevent further harm. However, in many cases, it keeps us locked in a cycle of negative thinking that has no end in sight. In addition, human beings are deeply social creatures. Relationships form a significant part of our identity and sense of belonging. When someone we trust betrays us or harms us emotionally, it shakes our very sense of self. The act of holding a grudge becomes a way to reaffirm our values and boundaries. "I won't let this person get away with it" becomes the mantra. But what we fail to realize is that in this battle for self-preservation, we are hurting ourselves more than the person we are angry with. Another factor at play is cognitive dissonance, which is when our beliefs and actions are in conflict. We want to move past the hurt, but we also want to hold on to the belief that we're justified in our feelings. Our minds cannot easily reconcile the idea of letting go with the need to protect our sense of self. This internal conflict reinforces the grip of the grudge, and the longer we hold on to it, the harder it becomes to release. Why grudges are hard to let go of. The science behind it. When we hold a grudge, it's not just an emotional experience, it's a physiological one too. Neuroscience tells us that the brain processes negative emotions, including anger and resentment, in a way that can trigger the body's stress response. The amygdala, the brain's emotional center, gets activated when we relive the pain caused by the grudge. This triggers the release of stress hormones like cortisol, which is known to have harmful effects on both the body and the mind. Over time, this chronic activation of the stress response can lead to a host of health problems. Prolonged exposure to high cortisol levels has been linked to increased risks of high blood pressure, weakened immune function, digestive issues, and even heart disease. In a sense, holding a grudge isn't just hurting our emotional well-being, it's physically damaging us too. The way our brain processes grudges is also tied to the concept of reward systems. We tend to revisit negative emotions because the brain gets caught in a feedback loop. The brain is wired to focus on negativity, which has an evolutionary benefit. By remembering threats and dangers, we are more likely to avoid harm in the future. But in the context of grudges, this adaptive behavior becomes a curse. We replay the events that hurt us, looking for a sense of justice or resolution. Each time we do this, the emotional charge is reinforced, and the negative feelings become harder to release. Furthermore, when we hold on to a grudge, our brains create a narrative around the injustice. We replay the event over and over, shaping a story in which we are the victim. This repeated rehearsal of the hurt strengthens neural pathways associated with anger, resentment, and frustration. This becomes a kind of emotional addiction, where the brain seeks the negative emotion for the same reason someone might feel the need to drink alcohol or take drugs, because it's familiar and gives a sense of relief, even if it's destructive. Lastly, there's the issue of the brain's resistance to change. Letting go of a grudge requires rewiring the way we think about the person or event that hurt us. This is not easy because it forces us to let go of an emotional narrative we've built. The brain, inherently resistant to change, can make this process feel like an uphill battle. But knowing that it's possible to break this cycle is the first step toward healing. It's all about breaking free from the grip of the past and allowing ourselves to embrace a more peaceful future. How to let go of a grudge. Practical steps for emotional freedom. If you're ready to let go of a grudge, the first step is acknowledging the pain. Many people try to suppress or deny their emotions, thinking that if they ignore them, the grudge will disappear. But this only makes the pain fester and prolongs the emotional suffering. Acknowledging the hurt allows you to process it fully, rather than leaving it to simmer in the background of your mind. This might mean facing uncomfortable feelings and allowing yourself to truly experience the anger, frustration, or sadness that's tied to the grudge. Forgiveness is the next essential step. But it's important to understand that forgiveness is not about excusing the other person's behavior or forgetting what happened. It's about freeing yourself from the grip of resentment. When you forgive, you are no longer giving power to the other person's actions over your emotional state. Forgiveness is a gift you give to yourself, not to the person who wronged you. Research shows that forgiving others can significantly reduce stress, lower blood pressure, and improve overall health. Forgiveness doesn't mean condoning what happened. It simply means releasing the emotional weight of the past. Mindfulness is another powerful tool in releasing grudges. By practicing mindfulness, you can become more aware of the thoughts and emotions you are holding onto. Mindfulness helps you detach from negative thoughts, making it easier to recognize when you're ruminating on the past. This awareness can be a powerful starting point for letting go, as you can consciously choose to redirect your thoughts away from resentment and toward healing. Mindfulness allows you to stay present, so you are no longer trapped by the past. Another technique that can help is reframing the situation. Instead of seeing the grudge as a source of pain, try to view it as a lesson. What did you learn from the experience? How can this help you grow as a person? Shifting your perspective in this way can release the emotional charge tied to the grudge and transform it into an opportunity for personal growth. This reframing allows you to gain wisdom from the situation rather than remaining stuck in a cycle of hurt. Finally, it's important to practice self-compassion throughout this process. Letting go of a grudge can take time, and you may find yourself slipping back into old thought patterns. Be kind to yourself and understand that emotional healing is a gradual process. It's okay to take small steps, and every little bit of progress counts toward your emotional freedom. Letting go of a grudge isn't just about freeing the person who hurt you, it's about freeing yourself from the emotional and physical toll of holding on to resentment. By understanding the science behind grudges, recognizing the impact they have on our minds and bodies, and using proven strategies like forgiveness, mindfulness, and reframing, you can start to release the grip of past pain. It won't be easy, but the reward is worth it. Emotional freedom, improved health, and the ability to live more fully in the present moment. Take that first step today and let go of the weight that's been holding you down.